Perhaps no presidential candidate has surprised the media elite more than Carly Fiorina, the former Hewlett-Packard CEO, who wasn't taken very seriously at first, but boy, is that changing. I sat down with her here in Washington. Carly Fiorina, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
In the beginning, the media treated you as kind of a curiosity, only woman on the Republican side. Maybe she's really running for VP. Isn't that interesting? Now, press taking you more seriously as you move up in the polls. On balance, have the media been fair to you?
Yes, on balance, I think they have been. I think it was understandable in a way. The whole media couldn't understand how an outsider could possibly be viewed credibly. And now what do we have? 3 outsiders at the top of the polls. I think the media and the establishment sort of missed how sick people really are of the professional political class and what politics has become. But all in all, I think the media has treated me quite fairly.
Yeah, you said all the attention lavished on Donald Trump was a wake-up call, not just for the professional political establishment, but for the media as well, which didn't think that somebody who hadn't done this before could be a credible candidate.
That's right. I think everybody sort of woke up and realized what the polls have been telling us for some time. So over 82% of the American people, according to a Fox News poll, by the way, think that we now have a professional political class, and they put the media in that professional political class, that's sort of more concerned with preserving the status quo than on getting the right work done.
You took on CNN over its polling criteria for the debate. You did a round of interviews, including with me, and the network changing its rules this week to allow the use of only more recent polls, and that almost definitely lands you on the primetime stage in 10 days. Did you win anything else in taking on CNN?
Well, you know, I think people just manifestly thought it was unfair. I don't think CNN started out intending to be unfair. I think, as they explained, in previous presidential cycles, there have been a lot more polls between August 6th and September 10th. In this case, there weren't very many, and so...
But on that point, if I can interrupt, excuse me, your campaign sent an email to supporters that said the mainstream media is doing everything they can to keep Carly out of the debate because they know Carly is Hillary's fiercest and most effective critic. First of all, it's CNN, not the whole mainstream media, but that suggests that CNN was targeting you and didn't want you on that stage.
Well, you know, when you looked at the rules and the fact that there was only one candidate who was disadvantaged so severely by their original set of rules, when you looked at the situation and saw that there was only one candidate that moved from the bottom 7 into the top 10, indeed the top 3, it's hard to walk away from a conclusion that somehow I was being disadvantaged, and that's how a lot of people felt. You know, there were a lot of people all across the country, thousands and thousands of people across the country, who said, you know what, this just isn't fair. We want to hear from her. Good for them. I really appreciate it.
They will hear from Carly Fiorina. You made a video in 2008 for the McCain campaign in which you talked about Hillary Clinton.
I have such great admiration and empathy for Hillary Clinton. I have great admiration for her because I know what it takes in some small measure to do what she has done. She is obviously incredibly intelligent, focused, tough, determined.
Now you mostly call her a liar.
Well, both those statements are true. She is very hardworking. She's very intelligent. I think she is empathetic. She's very focused. She has dedicated her life to public service. All that's true. And she's lied. She's lied about Benghazi. She's lied about her emails. She's lied about her server. And I do not think we can permit her to become president of the United States. Both of those things are true.
Do you think that the press coverage of Hillary on some of these issues, particularly the email debacle, has been too soft?
Well, probably. I mean, I think she has demonstrably broken the law. She clearly has broken the rules at the State Department, and there's just no possibility that she wasn't trafficking in classified information.
But there's been an awful lot of coverage of that.
Yes, it's true. It's true. And I think maybe the media gets distracted by other things, like Donald Trump, for example. I mean, Donald Trump has probably gotten 10 times the coverage of Hillary Clinton, and yet here we have someone who served as Secretary of State, who is running for the presidency of the United States, who had a server in her basement and had all of this classified, sensitive information on a private device. That's a stunning development, actually.
Trump has probably gotten 100 times the coverage of
Well,
Carly
there you
Fiorina. So since you brought him up, immigration, you are not for ending birthright citizenship, an issue that Trump has been pushing, and you've criticized him for pushing that issue. Explain.
Well, you know, ending birthright citizenship realistically isn't going to happen. It would require one of two things: a constitutional amendment or for the 14th Amendment to be challenged in court. Neither one of those things is likely to happen. And to me, this is classic politics, actually. You put some bright, shiny object over here, you distract everybody with something that isn't likely to happen, and meantime, the border still isn't secure. You
say on immigration that if you came here illegally, you don't get a path to citizenship, but you say maybe you get a path to legal status. Will that position hurt you with some Republican voters?
I don't know. It's possible. But I do think that denying someone a pathway to citizenship is the appropriate consequence for coming here illegally and staying here illegally. And many of these people actually are working, and so we need to give them the opportunity to work, assuming, of course, that they're not criminals, that they pay their back taxes, etc.
On your position on birthright citizenship, author Ann Coulter says she despises you with the hot, hot hate of 1,000 suns.
Well, I guess that statement speaks for itself. She also said that she wouldn't mind if Donald Trump performed abortions in the White House as long as he got his immigration plan through. I think that statement speaks for itself as well.
That was a restrained answer. Is it fundamentally unfair for the media to lavish so much ink and so much airtime on Trump?
Well, let me just say this, Howard. You and I have been talking now for how long? 7 or 8 minutes, and at least a quarter, maybe a third of your questions have been about Donald Trump. I think that's more attention than is merited, honestly.
Okay, so let's move on to Hewlett-Packard. You've said to me, you've said in many interviews that no secret that you were fired in a boardroom brawl.
Well, not a barroom brawl.
I angled the quote, a boardroom
a boardroom brawl.
Okay, and there's a debate about your record there, but one of the things there's no debate about is that you left with a package that's worth about $42 million. Does that make you part of the 1% economic elite that might have trouble understanding the problems of ordinary working folks?
Well, I started out as a secretary. I've earned absolutely everything. I didn't inherit anything other than a good work ethic and strong values. Shareholders voted on absolutely every aspect of my pay, period. And that number, you could pull lots of numbers out of the air because it was based on the value of HP stock at that moment. It's gone down, it's gone up. I've been very clear about our net worth, released 2 years of complete tax returns. I would just say this: there are people in this race worth a lot more money than I am, Hillary Clinton being one of them.
You can't dispute that based on what we know. In that same 2008 video, you said the following: based on personal experience, bold women and women in power are characterized and scrutinized differently than their male counterparts are. Has that been true of you in this campaign? Of
course. Women in positions of authority or influence or power are criticized, scrutinized, caricatured differently. That's still true, unfortunately. That's still true. Exhibit A. How often have I been asked the question whether or not I'm running for vice president? My male counterparts in this race are not asked that question. People are still asking that question.
Is that a sexist question?
Yes, absolutely. I am qualified to be president of the United States. I am qualified to win this job, and yet more qualified than many of my male counterparts, to be honest. And yet some people keep asking me whether I'm running to be vice president. So there's no doubt that women still are caricatured and characterized differently.
Does this attitude tick you off?
I've grown used to it, but it also doesn't stop me.
Carly Fiorina, thanks very much for doing this.
Thank you.